The morning light filtered through the worn curtains as 8-year-old Sophia Chen quietly dressed for school. She moved with practiced silence, careful not to wake her grandmother who was still asleep in the tiny bedroom they shared. Their apartment above Golden Dragon, her parents' restaurant, was small but tidy. Family photos and a few paper lanterns from the Lunar New Year hung on the walls, bringing warmth to the otherwise sparse space. Sophia adjusted her thick glasses and ran a tongue over her new braces, wincing slightly at the soreness. Her reflection in the mirror showed a small girl with straight black hair cut in a practical bob, her school uniform slightly too big for her frame. She didn't mind the baggy clothes. They made it easier to blend into the background, to become invisible when needed. Xiao Hu Die, her grandmother called softly from the doorway, using her nickname, Little Butterfly, in Mandarin. "You're up early again." Sophia turned and smiled. "I want to help with breakfast, Nai. Grandmother Lin shook her head fondly. "Always so responsible. Your classmates are probably still sleeping." In the tiny kitchen, they worked side by side, Grandmother Lin frying eggs while Sophia made toast and set out the plates. The familiar routine was comforting, one of the few parts of her day where Sophia felt completely at ease. "Your mother and father worked very late," Grandmother Lin said, pointing to a note on the refrigerator. "They already left for the morning deliveries." Sophia nodded, used to the rhythm of her family's restaurant life. Her parents often worked 16-hour days, sometimes only seeing her on her way to school or when she helped out at the restaurant on weekends. They had come to America 5 years ago when Sophia was just 3, chasing dreams of better opportunities and education for their only daughter. "Will you sing for me while we eat?" Grandmother Lin asked, setting down their simple breakfast. Sophia's eyes darted nervously to the thin walls. "What if the neighbors hear?" "Let them," her grandmother said with a dismissive wave. "Good music should be shared." Reluctantly, Sophia began humming a tune from one of her grandmother's old records, a Chinese folk song about a girl looking at the stars. As they ate, her voice grew slightly stronger, filling their small kitchen with sweet, clear notes. This was their private morning ritual, a secret shared between them. Grandmother Lin closed her eyes, listening. "Your voice is special, Xiao Hu Die. A gift." Sophia ducked her head. "Nobody at school thinks I'm special." "That's because they don't truly see you yet," her grandmother replied, reaching across to squeeze her hand. "Sometimes the most beautiful flowers bloom where no one is looking." The walk to Westbrook Elementary took exactly 12 minutes from their apartment. Sophia had timed it. She knew every crack in the sidewalk, every house along the route. She tried to make herself as small as possible as she approached the school gates, clutching her backpack straps tightly. Westbrook was a sprawling brick building with colorful playground equipment that contrasted with its institutional appearance. Children swarmed to the entrance, their excited voices creating a wall of noise that made Sophia's stomach tighten. She took a deep breath and slipped through the crowd, head down, making her way to Ms. Reynolds' third-grade classroom. "Good morning, Sophia," Ms. Reynolds said warmly as she entered. The young teacher was one of the few adults at school who seemed to notice her. "You're early again." Sophia nodded politely and hurried to her desk in the back corner. Being early meant a few precious minutes of peace before the chaos. She took out her notebook and began doodling musical notes in the margins. Another secret habit. The classroom gradually filled with the sounds of chattering students. Sophia kept her eyes on her desk as Mackenzie Taylor and her friends entered. They were 5th graders but shared the hallway with the 3rd grade classes. Mackenzie, with her perfectly braided blonde hair and designer backpack, was everything Sophia was not: loud, confident, and the center of attention. "Look, it's Mouse," one of Mackenzie's friends whispered loudly as they passed Sophia's classroom. The nickname had stuck after Sophia had squeaked in surprise when a teacher called on her unexpectedly last semester. Now it followed her everywhere. Morning classes passed in a blur. Sophia sat perfectly still, raising her hand only when she knew the answer with absolute certainty. Despite being one of the brightest students in her grade, she dreaded being called on. The feeling of all those eyes turning toward her made her throat close up. At lunch, Sophia found her usual spot at the end of a table, carefully spreading out her grandmother's homemade dumplings. She had learned long ago not to bring anything that might seem weird to her classmates, but her grandmother insisted she needed proper food, not the pizza and chicken nuggets served in the cafeteria. "What's that smell?" Mackenzie wrinkled her nose as she walked past with her tray. It's Mouse's food again. Sophia stared down at her lunch, her appetite vanishing. She carefully rewrapped the dumplings, saving them for later when no one would be watching. Can I sit here? A quiet voice interrupted her thoughts. Sophia looked up to see Lily Patel, a shy girl from her math group. Without waiting for an answer, Lily sat down and opened her own lunchbox, revealing samosas and what looked like homemade yogurt. My mom makes these, Lily said, offering one to Sophia. They're kind of spicy, though. Surprised by the gesture, Sophia hesitantly took it. My grandmother made dumplings, she whispered, pushing one toward Lily. They ate in companionable silence, neither feeling the need to fill the quiet with words. It wasn't friendship exactly, but it was something. An island of calm in the stormy seas of elementary school social life. Recess was always the hardest part of the day. With no structure to hide behind, Sophia usually found a spot near the fence where she could watch the other children play. Today, she pulled out a small notebook and continued working on her secret project, writing down lyrics to songs she heard on her mother's old records. What are you writing, Mouse? The shadow of Mackenzie fell across her notebook. Love letters? Sophia quickly closed the notebook, but not before Mackenzie snatched it from her hands. Give it back, please, she said, her voice barely audible. Mackenzie flipped through the pages, her expression changing from mockery to confusion. Song lyrics? Why are you writing down song lyrics? I just like them, Sophia said, reaching for her notebook. Weird, Mackenzie declared, but handed it back without further comment. You're so weird, Mouse. When the final bell rang, Sophia was always among the first to leave, slipping out while others lingered to chat. Today, however, Ms. Reynolds called her back. Sophia, do you have a minute? Nervously adjusting her glasses, Sophia approached the teacher's desk. I noticed you're always writing in that notebook of yours, Ms. Reynolds said gently. May I ask what you're working on? Sophia hesitated, then slowly opened her notebook to show her teacher. Just songs I like, she explained quietly. Ms. Reynolds looked through the carefully written lyrics with interest. You really love music, don't you? Sophia nodded, surprised by the teacher's genuine interest. You know, we have a music program after school on Tuesdays. Would you like to join? The thought of performing in front of others made Sophia's heart race with fear. I don't think I can. Ms. Reynolds didn't push. Well, the offer stands if you change your mind. You have a beautiful way with words, Sophia. Don't be afraid to share your gifts. The walk home was Sophia's favorite part of the day. Free from the pressures of school, she sometimes allowed herself to hum quietly, testing melodies under her breath when no one was around to hear. As she approached Golden Dragon, she could smell the familiar aromas of her family's cooking, ginger, garlic, and the distinctive scent of her father's special 5-spice blend. The restaurant was between lunch and dinner service, a rare quiet moment in their busy day. Ah, there's my little helper, her father called from behind the counter where he was chopping vegetables with lightning speed. Chen Wei was a man of few words but deep feeling, his hands constantly in motion, whether cooking or gently patting his daughter's head in passing. Sophia set down her backpack and immediately went to wash her hands. Without being asked, she began folding napkins into neat triangles for the dinner service. How was school? Her mother asked, emerging from the back office with account books in hand. Lin May's face showed the weariness of long hours, but her eyes brightened at the sight of her daughter. Fine, Sophia answered automatically. Her mother studied her face. Just fine? Sophia considered telling her about Mackenzie, about the nickname, about the loneliness. But she looked at her mother's tired eyes and thought of the long night ahead in the busy restaurant. Yes, just fine. Can I help with anything else? Later that evening, after finishing her homework at a corner table in the restaurant, Sophia climbed the stairs to their apartment. Her grandmother was listening to an old record, the scratchy sounds of a Chinese opera filling the small living room. Come, sit with me. Grandmother Lin patted the space beside her on the worn sofa. Tell me about your day truly. And somehow, in the safety of her grandmother's presence, with the beautiful music surrounding them, Sophia found herself telling the truth. About Mackenzie, about hiding her lunch, about Ms. Reynolds and the music program. Why didn't you say yes? Her grandmother asked when she mentioned the music program. Sophia traced patterns on the sofa fabric. What if they laugh at me? And what if they don't? Her grandmother countered gently. What if they hear what I hear? I'm scared, Sophia admitted in a small voice. Her grandmother took her hands. Being scared doesn't mean you shouldn't try. It just means the thing is important to you. As the evening deepened into night, Grandmother Lynn taught Sophia a new song, an ancient lullaby about finding courage in darkness. Their voices blended in the quiet apartment. Grandmother and granddaughter connected by music and love, while downstairs the restaurant hummed with activity, and outside the city continued its endless rhythm. In her bed that night, Sophia whispered the song to herself, a small act of bravery in the dark. Tomorrow would bring another day of trying to be invisible. But for now, in the safety of night, she allowed her voice to exist, if only for herself. Someday, she promised the shadows. Someday I won't be afraid anymore. The morning announcements crackled through the ancient speakers of Westbrook Elementary. Most students paid little attention, their minds already drifting toward lunch or recess. But when Principal Wilson's voice gave way to the enthusiastic tones of Mrs. Peterson, the music teacher, heads began to turn. And now, the moment many of you have been waiting for. Mrs. Peterson's voice rang out. I'm thrilled to announce our annual spring talent show will take place 3 weeks from Friday. Sign-up sheets will be posted outside the cafeteria starting today. Remember, this is your chance to share your unique gifts with the entire school community. A buzz of excitement rippled through Ms. Reynolds' third-grade classroom. Students immediately began whispering about what acts they might perform. Piano recitals, magic tricks, dance routines. The possibilities seemed endless to their young minds. Sophia sat quietly at her desk, eyes focused on her notebook. The talent show was something she secretly looked forward to each year. Not to participate, of course, but to watch from the safety of the audience. Last year, a 5th grader had played the violin so beautifully that Sophia had gone home and drawn pictures of violins for weeks afterward. What are you going to do, Lily? Someone asked. And Sophia glanced up to see her lunchtime companion shifting uncomfortably under the attention. Maybe a science demonstration, Lily mumbled, quickly looking down. Ms. Reynolds clapped her hands. All right, everyone, let's get back to our math lesson. You'll have plenty of time to discuss the talent show at lunch. The morning dragged on, each minute feeling like an hour as Sophia struggled to focus on fractions. Her mind kept drifting to the songs her grandmother had taught her. What would it be like to stand on a stage and sing one of them? The thought both thrilled and terrified her. By lunchtime, the sign-up sheet was already half filled with names. A crowd of students hovered around it, pushing and shoving to add their names to the list. Sophia hung back, watching from a distance as she clutched her lunch bag. Aren't you going to sign up? Lily appeared beside her, startling Sophia from her thoughts. Sophia shook her head quickly. No way, I'd be too scared. Me too, Lily admitted. But I signed up anyway. My mom says sometimes you have to do the things that scare you. Sophia considered this as they made their way to their usual lunch spot. What are you really doing for your act? A dance from my culture. My grandmother is helping me practice. Lily looked down at her sandwich. I'll probably mess up, but at least my parents will be proud I tried. The thought stayed with Sophia throughout the afternoon. What would make her parents proud? They worked so hard at the restaurant, rarely having time for school events. But a talent show on a Friday night, they might be able to close the restaurant early for that. After school, Sophia stopped by the bathroom before heading home. It was quiet, most students having already rushed out to waiting buses and parents. Believing herself alone, she hummed softly as she washed her hands, the tune gradually becoming words as she sang a few lines from her grandmother's favorite song. River flows gently under moonlight, carrying dreams to distant shores. The bathroom door creaked, and Sophia immediately fell silent, mortified at the thought of being overheard. Through the crack in the stall door, she saw Mackenzie Taylor enter with 2 of her friends, their voices echoing against the tile walls. So I told him that my dad could totally get tickets to the concert, even though they're sold out everywhere, Mackenzie was saying, flipping her hair as she checked her reflection. Her friend nodded admiringly. That's so cool. Is your dad really friends with the band manager? Duh, why would I make that up? Mackenzie rolled her eyes, then suddenly paused. Wait, did you guys hear that? Someone was singing. Sophia froze, praying they wouldn't check the stalls. It was probably just someone in the hallway. Another friend said, bored. Are you signing up for the talent show? You should totally do your cheerleading routine. Mackenzie frowned, applying lip gloss with practiced precision. No way. Ms. Peterson hates me after I got caught passing notes in music class. She'd probably give me a bad score on purpose. That's so unfair, her friend sympathized. Sophia stayed perfectly still, hoping they would leave quickly. But just as the girls were about to exit, the toilet in Sophia's stall made a strange gurgling sound, betraying her presence. "Someone's in here," Mackenzie announced, her voice suddenly louder. "Hey, who's hiding in there?" Heart pounding, Sophia had no choice but to open the door. She stepped out, eyes fixed on her shoes. "Oh, look, it's Mouse," Mackenzie laughed. "Were you eavesdropping on us?" "No," Sophia whispered. "I was just washing my hands. Were you the one singing?" one of Mackenzie's friends asked, looking surprised. Before Sophia could deny it, Mackenzie's expression changed, a slow smile spreading across her face. She exchanged a meaningful glance with her friends that Sophia didn't understand. "You know what, Mouse? You have a really pretty voice," Mackenzie said, her tone suddenly friendly. Sophia looked up in shock. Mackenzie had never said anything nice to her before. "You should totally sign up for the talent show," Mackenzie continued, her friends nodding eagerly beside her. "I bet you'd be amazing." "Me?" Sophia couldn't hide her disbelief. "I don't think so." "No, really. I'm serious," Mackenzie insisted, putting a hand on Sophia's shoulder. "Everyone would be so surprised. You're always so quiet, but then you could show them all how talented you really are." Confused by this unexpected kindness, Sophia felt a small flutter of hope. Maybe Mackenzie wasn't as mean as she seemed. Maybe this was a chance to make a friend. I don't know, she hesitated. "Come on," Mackenzie urged, steering Sophia toward the door. "Let's go sign you up right now before all the spots are gone." Dazed by this turn of events, Sophia found herself being led to the cafeteria, Mackenzie's friends following behind, whispering and giggling in a way that might have warned her had she been paying attention. But all she could focus on was the strange feeling of walking beside Mackenzie Taylor instead of hiding from her. At the sign-up sheet, Mackenzie took the pen and wrote in large letters, "Sophia Chen vocal solo," before Sophia could change her mind. "There, now you're officially in," Mackenzie announced, stepping back to admire her handiwork. "What song are you going to sing?" I hadn't thought about it," Sophia stammered, reality crashing in as she stared at her name on the official list. "You should pick something really challenging," one of Mackenzie's friends suggested, "to show off your range." "Yeah, like that song from Titanic," the other added. "That's super impressive when someone can hit those high notes." "My heart will go on," Sophia said softly, thinking of how her mother used to sing it as a lullaby. "Perfect." Mackenzie clapped her hands. "That's settled then. Can't wait to see everyone's faces when they hear you." As the girls walked away, Sophia heard them burst into laughter around the corner. A cold feeling settled in her stomach. Had she just made a terrible mistake? That evening, she couldn't bring herself to tell her family about signing up. Instead, she picked at her dinner while her parents discussed business matters and her grandmother watched her with concern. "Something is troubling you," Grandmother Lynn observed after Sophia's parents had returned to the restaurant for the dinner rush. Sophia bit her lip, then slowly explained what had happened with Mackenzie at school. Her grandmother listened carefully, her weathered face thoughtful. "And do you think this girl truly wants to be your friend?" "I don't know," Sophia admitted. "She's never been nice to me before." "But maybe she really did like my singing." "Perhaps," her grandmother said, though her tone suggested doubt. "But whether her intentions are good or not, the question remains. Do you want to sing in this talent show?" Sophia thought about it, truly thought about it. The idea terrified her, but there was also a tiny spark of excitement buried beneath the fear. "I don't know if I'm good enough." "That is not what I asked," her grandmother said gently. "I asked if you want to do it. I think." "Maybe I do," Sophia whispered, surprising herself. "But what if everyone laughs at me?" "Then they laugh," her grandmother shrugged. "The sun will still rise tomorrow. But what if they don't laugh? What if they hear what I hear when you sing?" The next morning, Sophia approached Ms. Reynolds before class began. "I signed up for the talent show," she said in a rush before she could lose her courage. "But I think maybe I should take my name off the list." Ms. Reynolds looked surprised. "Sophia, that's wonderful that you signed up. Why would you want to withdraw?" "I'm scared," Sophia admitted. "And I think maybe some of the other kids are playing a joke on me." Understanding dawned in Ms. Reynolds' eyes. "I see. Would you like to tell me what happened?" After Sophia explained, Ms. Reynolds' expression grew serious. "Thank you for telling me. I'll speak with Mrs. Peterson about this. But Sophia, if you do want to perform, we'll make sure you have all the support you need." Later that day, Sophia was called to the music room during recess. Mrs. Peterson sat at the piano, a kind smile on her face. "Ms. Reynolds tells me you might have been pressured into signing up for the talent show," she said gently. "I want you to know that you can withdraw if you're uncomfortable." Sophia twisted her hands together. Do you think I would be any good?" "I don't know, sweetie. Would you feel comfortable singing a little something for me now?" Heart racing, Sophia nodded. She closed her eyes and began to sing the first verse of My Heart Will Go On, her voice initially shaky but growing stronger with each note. When she finished, she opened her eyes to find Mrs. Peterson staring at her with astonishment. "Sophia," she said finally, "that was remarkable. You have a truly beautiful voice." "Really?" Sophia couldn't believe it. "Really," Mrs. Peterson confirmed. "If you want to perform in the talent show, I think you would be wonderful. But the choice has to be yours, not because someone else is pushing you." Sophia thought about her grandmother's words, about doing things that scared you, about showing the world who you truly were. "I want to try," she said quietly. "Even if I'm scared," Mrs. Peterson smiled. "Then let's get started. We have 3 weeks to prepare, and I have a feeling your performance is going to surprise a lot of people, including Mackenzie Taylor." The kitchen of Golden Dragon restaurant had finally quieted for the night. Sophia sat at a small table in the corner, homework finished, watching her father wipe down counters while her mother counted the day's earnings. It had been 3 days since she'd signed up for the talent show, and she still hadn't told her parents. "All done?" her mother asked, glancing up from the stack of bills she was organizing. Sophia nodded, closing her math workbook. "Can I go upstairs now?" "Yes, but don't stay up too late talking with your grandmother," her mother said with a knowing smile. "You need your sleep." Sophia hurried up the narrow staircase to their apartment where her grandmother was sitting in her favorite chair, listening to music on an old cassette player. The familiar melody of a Chinese folk song filled the small living room. "Nai, Sophia began hesitantly. "I need to tell you something." Her grandmother turned down the volume. "I'm listening, Xiaohu Die. I'm going to sing in the school talent show and I need help," Sophia blurted out. "I want to sing My Heart Will Go On like Mom used to sing to me, but I don't know if I can do it right." Grandmother Lynn's eyes lit up. "Ah, so you've made your decision. Good, brave girl." "I'm not brave," Sophia protested. "I'm scared. But Mrs. Peterson says I have a nice voice and I think I want to try." Her grandmother rose from her chair with unexpected energy. "Then we must begin preparing. We have no time to waste. Now?" Sophia looked at the clock. It was already past 8. "Yes, now." "Music waits for no one." Her grandmother moved toward her bedroom. "Wait here." Sophia shifted nervously from foot to foot. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe she should just tell Mrs. Peterson tomorrow that she'd changed her mind. Before she could dwell further on these thoughts, her grandmother returned carrying a small wooden box Sophia had never seen before. Carefully, almost reverently, Grandmother Lynn set it on the coffee table and opened it. Inside, yellowed newspaper clippings rested atop a folded silk scarf. Her grandmother gently lifted the top clipping to reveal a black and white photograph of a young woman in an elaborate costume, standing on a stage with her arms outstretched. "Is that you?" Sophia asked in disbelief. Her grandmother nodded, a faraway look in her eyes. "Shanghai Opera House, 1964. I was 22 years old." Sophia stared at the photograph in amazement. The young woman looked nothing like her quiet grandmother who helped in the restaurant and made dumplings by hand. This woman radiated confidence and passion. "You were a singer? A real singer? On a big stage?" "For 10 years, her grandmother confirmed. "Until the Cultural Revolution came. Then many arts were forbidden. They closed the opera houses, burned costumes, destroyed instruments." She touched the photograph gently. "I was lucky. Some artists were sent to labor camps. I only had to stop performing and work in a factory instead." Sophia was speechless. Her grandmother had never spoken of this before. "I thought that part of my life was over forever," Grandmother Lynn continued, "until I heard you singing as a small child. Then I knew what? That the music had not died. It had just been waiting." Her grandmother smiled. "Now let us begin. Stand up straight. For the next hour, Sophia received her first real singing lesson. Her grandmother was a different person, strict, demanding, but also encouraging in a way that made Sophia want to try harder with each attempt. No, no. You sing from here, her grandmother said, placing her weathered hand on Sophia's diaphragm. Feel how it moves when you breathe deeply. Let the music flow through you like water. They practiced breathing exercises, posture, and finally, the opening lines of My Heart Will Go On. When Sophia's voice cracked on the higher notes, her grandmother showed her techniques to smooth the transition. Again, she would say, once more, better, now again. By the time they finished, Sophia's throat was tired, but her mind was buzzing with excitement. She had never imagined her quiet grandmother harbored such knowledge, such passion for music. We will practice every night, Grandmother Lynn declared as she closed the wooden box. But our secret, yes? Your parents have enough worries with the restaurant. Sophia nodded, understanding. Her father especially might worry about her performing in public. Might fear she would be embarrassed or mocked. Our secret, she agreed. The next day at school, Sophia noticed whispers following her through the hallways. Mackenzie and her friends had clearly been busy, spreading word of Sophia's upcoming performance with raised eyebrows and hidden smirks. I heard Mouse signed up for the talent show, she overheard one fifth-grade boy say to another. Mackenzie says it's going to be hilarious. Can she even talk? I've never heard her say anything, his friend replied. That's why it's going to be so funny when she tries to sing. The first boy laughed. Sophia clutched her books tighter, keeping her eyes down. Part of her wanted to run to Mrs. Peterson and withdraw from the show immediately. But another part, a stronger part, remembered the photograph of her grandmother standing proudly on stage. That part urged her forward. In music class that afternoon, Mrs. Peterson handed Sophia a CD. I made this for you to practice with. It has the instrumental version of the song. Thank you, Sophia whispered, quickly tucking it into her backpack before anyone could notice. And I've scheduled the music room for you during Tuesday and Thursday recesses if you'd like a private place to practice. Mrs. Peterson added quietly. No pressure, but it's available if you want it. That Thursday, instead of hiding by the fence during recess, Sophia slipped into the empty music room. The space felt different without other students, peaceful, welcoming. She placed the CD in the player and closed her eyes as the familiar melody began. Following her grandmother's instructions, she took a deep breath and began to sing, her voice growing stronger and more confident with each phrase. The music filled the room, wrapping around her like a protective cocoon, making her forget her fears for a few precious minutes. She was so absorbed that she didn't notice Mrs. Peterson standing in the doorway, listening with wide eyes, until the song ended. Sophia, the music teacher said, stepping into the room. That was beautiful. Sophia blushed, looking down. I still mess up the high part. You're making incredible progress, Mrs. Peterson assured her. May I ask where you learned to sing like that? Have you had lessons before? Sophia hesitated, then shared a small piece of her secret. My grandmother is helping me. She used to sing in an opera house in China. Understanding dawned on Mrs. Peterson's face. That explains it. You have natural talent, but there's technique there too. Your grandmother must be an excellent teacher. For the next 2 weeks, Sophia lived a double life. At school, she remained quiet, enduring the increasing whispers and occasional taunts about her upcoming performance. But during recess in the music room, and at night with her grandmother, she transformed. Each evening, after her parents returned to their bedroom exhausted from a long day at the restaurant, Sophia and her grandmother worked together, refining each note, each breath. Her grandmother shared stories of performances from long ago, of stage fright overcome, of music that moved audiences to tears. The most important thing is not perfection, her grandmother told her. It is feeling. You must believe the words you sing. You must let them come from your heart. As the talent show drew closer, Sophia's anxiety returned in full force. What if she forgot the words? What if her voice cracked? What if everyone laughed just as Mackenzie clearly expected them to? One evening, a week before the show, her grandmother found her crying quietly in her room. What is this? She asked, sitting beside Sophia on the bed. I can't do it, Sophia sobbed. Everyone will laugh at me. Mackenzie and her friends set me up because they think it will be funny to watch me fail. Her grandmother was quiet for a moment. Do you know why I kept that box with my old photographs hidden away for so many years? Sophia shook her head, wiping tears from her cheeks. because it hurt too much to look at them, to remember what I had lost, her grandmother explained. But when I finally opened it to show you, I realized something. The music was never truly gone. It was inside me all along, waiting. She took Sophia's hand. Those children who want to laugh at you, they cannot take your voice from you. Only you can do that by choosing not to share it. But what if I mess up? Then you mess up, her grandmother shrugged. The world doesn't end. But what if you don't? What if you sing so beautifully that all those waiting to laugh must instead pick their jaws up from the floor? This made Sophia smile despite her tears. Wait here, her grandmother said, rising from the bed. She returned moments later with a small cloth pouch. I was saving this for the day of your performance, but I think you need it now. From the pouch, she pulled out a jade pendant on a simple red cord. The stone was a soft green color, carved into the shape of a butterfly. This was given to me before my first big performance, she explained, placing it around Sophia's neck. For luck and courage. Sophia touched the cool stone. It's beautiful. Like you, Xiaohudie, my little butterfly. Her grandmother smiled. Some people will never see your wings until you decide to fly. Remember, those who cannot see your wings are the ones most surprised when you fly. The night before the talent show, Sophia stood in front of the bathroom mirror, the jade pendant cool against her skin. She sang the song one last time, pouring all her emotion into each word just as her grandmother had taught her. When she finished, she was surprised to find her mother standing in the doorway, eyes filled with tears. Mama? Sophia said, suddenly worried. Her mother came forward and embraced her tightly. Your grandmother told us about the talent show tomorrow. Why didn't you say something? I was afraid you'd think it was silly, Sophia admitted. Or that you'd be too busy to come. Too busy to see my daughter shine? Her mother shook her head firmly. Never. We've already arranged for Uncle Liang to cover the restaurant tomorrow night. We will all be there. Your father, grandmother, and I. As Sophia fell asleep that night, the jade butterfly resting on her chest, she felt a strange calm replace her fear. Whatever happened tomorrow, her family would be there. Whatever happened, she would sing with all her heart, and maybe, just maybe, she would fly. The day of the talent show arrived with a sky full of rain clouds that matched Sophia's churning stomach. She barely touched her breakfast, couldn't focus in class, and jumped at every small sound. The butterflies in her stomach felt more like angry bees. You look sick, Lily whispered during math. Are you okay? Sophia nodded unconvincingly. She had spotted Mackenzie and her friends giggling whenever they passed her in the hallway. One of them had made a theatrical bow in her direction, while another had pretended to cover her ears. Don't pay attention to them, Lily advised, somehow understanding without being told. They're just trying to get in your head. By lunchtime, Sophia couldn't eat a single bite. She sat alone, Lily having gone to practice her dance one last time in the gym. The jade pendant felt heavy around her neck, hidden beneath her shirt where no one could see it. After school, performers were told to go home, relax, and return by 6:30. The show would start at 7. Sophia walked home in a daze, her feet seeming to carry her without any conscious direction from her brain. At home, her grandmother had prepared her favorite dumplings, but Sophia only managed to swallow a few small bites. Eat, her grandmother encouraged. You need strength to sing. I think I'm going to throw up, Sophia admitted. Her grandmother nodded knowingly. That is normal. Before my first performance in Shanghai, I was so nervous I fainted during rehearsal. You did? This was hard to imagine. Her grandmother seemed so fearless. Oh yes, they had to splash cold water on my face to wake me up. She smiled at the memory. But then do you know what happened? I got on stage that night and sang better than I had ever sung before. Really? Why? Because fear and excitement feel the same in your body, her grandmother explained. Racing heart, butterflies in stomach, shaky hands. The only difference is in your mind. I decided to tell myself I was excited, not afraid. Sophia considered this. I don't think that will work for me. Try it, her grandmother insisted. Say it out loud. I am not afraid, I am excited. Feeling slightly foolish, Sophia repeated the words. I am not afraid, I am excited. Again, louder. I am not afraid, I am excited. Sophia said with more conviction. Good, her grandmother approved. Now let us get you ready. Her mother appeared in the doorway holding a garment bag. I have something special for tonight. Inside was a simple but beautiful blue dress with tiny silver stars embroidered around the hem. Sophia ran her fingers over the delicate stitching. "It's perfect," she whispered. "Your father picked it out," her mother said with a smile. "He may not say much, but he notices everything." As if summoned by his name, Sophia's father appeared in the doorway. He stood awkwardly for a moment, then approached Sophia with something held carefully in his large hands. "For luck," he said gruffly, presenting her with a small silver hair clip shaped like a musical note. Sophia's eyes filled with tears as she took it. Her father rarely bought gifts, saving every penny for the restaurant and their future. The small gesture meant more than she could express. "Thank you, Baba," she said, hugging him tightly. Her father patted her back awkwardly. "You will do well," he said simply. "I am proud of you already." By 6:15, Sophia was dressed in the blue gown, her hair neatly styled with the silver clip, the jade pendant visible against her collarbone. Her family walked with her to the school, her grandmother keeping pace despite the slight drizzle in her arthritic knees. Backstage was chaos. 20 nervous kids practiced their acts in corners, adjusted costumes, or peeked through the curtains at the rapidly filling auditorium. Mrs. Peterson moved among them like a ship through choppy waters, calming nerves and giving last-minute advice. "Sophia, there you are," she called, making her way over. "You look lovely. How are you feeling?" "Excited," Sophia said, trying to believe it. "Not afraid at all?" Mrs. Peterson smiled knowingly. "That's the spirit. You're on 8th after Tyler's magic act. I've put the CD in already, so just wait for your introduction. Walk to the center mark on the floor and begin when the music starts." Sophia nodded, suddenly unable to speak as reality crashed in. This was really happening. Mrs. Peterson squeezed her shoulder. "Remember, no matter what happens out there, I'm already so proud of you for being brave enough to try." From the corner of her eye, Sophia spotted Mackenzie and her friends huddled together, occasionally glancing in her direction and giggling. Mackenzie had her phone out, seemingly ready to record. "Don't mind them," Mrs. Peterson said, following her gaze. "Just sing like you did in the music room, like no one is watching." Principal Wilson's voice boomed through the auditorium, welcoming everyone to the annual talent show. The curtain opened to reveal a simple stage with a microphone stand in the center, and the first act, a 4th-grade boy playing guitar, began. Sophia watched from the wings, her heart pounding harder with each passing performance. Her palms were sweating and she kept wiping them on her dress. She tried to remember her grandmother's breathing exercises, but it felt like her lungs had shrunk to the size of walnuts. Next up is Tyler Baker with Mysteries of the Mind, a magic show, Principal Wilson announced, and the 6th-grade boy strode confidently onto the stage with his prop table. Sophia knew she was next. Her legs began to tremble so badly she had to lean against the wall. What if she forgot the words? What if her voice cracked? What if she tripped on the way to the microphone? "I am not afraid, I am excited," she whispered to herself. "I am not afraid, I am excited." Tyler's magic show seemed to last both an eternity and a split second. Then suddenly he was taking his bow. The audience was applauding and Principal Wilson was back at the microphone. "Thank you, Tyler, for those amazing illusions. Next, we have a 3rd-grader making her performance debut. Please welcome Sophia Chen, who will be singing My Heart Will Go On." A smattering of applause mixed with a few whispers and giggles greeted the announcement. From the back of the auditorium, Sophia could hear louder clapping. Her family, she realized with a rush of gratitude. Mrs. Peterson gave her a gentle push. "You've got this, Sophia." Her legs felt like they belonged to someone else as she walked onto the stage. The lights were blinding, making it impossible to see individual faces in the audience, just a dark mass of shapes. She almost tripped on the microphone cord but caught herself just in time. Standing before the microphone, Sophia blinked against the harsh spotlight. The silence stretched uncomfortably as she stood frozen, unable to remember why she was there or what she was supposed to do. From the darkness, she heard a muffled laugh, then a loud whisper. "Told you this would be hilarious." Mackenzie's voice. Sophia's throat closed up completely. She couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, certainly couldn't sing. Just as the whispers began to grow, she felt the jade pendant warm against her skin. She closed her eyes and pictured her grandmother on that stage in Shanghai, young and brave and full of music. She thought of all their practice sessions, of the belief her family had in her. The opening notes of the music began, startling her out of her paralysis. With her eyes still closed, Sophia took a deep breath from her diaphragm, just as she had practiced hundreds of times. And then she began to sing. The first note was shaky, barely audible. But as the music swelled, something shifted inside her. The fear didn't disappear. It transformed, becoming fuel for the emotion in the song. Her voice grew stronger, clearer, filling the auditorium with a sound that seemed too big to come from such a small girl. By the chorus, Sophia dared to open her eyes. The audience had gone completely still. She couldn't make out individual faces, but she could feel the shift in the energy of the room. From restless anticipation of failure to stunned attention. As the song built toward its climax, Sophia forgot about Mackenzie, forgot about the talent show, forgot about everything except the music flowing through her. Each note felt like a step in flight, lifting her higher and higher above her fears. Her grandmother was right, she was flying. When she reached the final high note, holding it clear and strong just as they had practiced, the stunned silence in the auditorium lasted only a heartbeat, before erupting into thunderous applause. Through the glare of the spotlight, Sophia could make out people rising to their feet. A standing ovation for her, for Mouse, for the invisible girl no one had really seen until this moment. As she took a small, shy bow, she spotted Mackenzie in the third row. Her phone had slipped from her fingers. Her mouth hung open in complete shock. Beside her, her friends looked equally stunned, all traces of mockery gone from their faces. Mrs. Peterson was wiping tears from her eyes backstage when Sophia walked off. Legs still shaky, but for entirely different reasons now. "Sophia," she whispered, hugging the girl tightly. "That was—" There are no words. The rest of the talent show passed in a blur. Sophia barely registered the other performances, floating on a strange mixture of adrenaline and disbelief at what had just happened. When all the performers were called back on stage for a final bow, Sophia found herself in the center, with Principal Wilson holding a small trophy. And the Judge's Choice Award goes to Sophia Chen for her extraordinary vocal performance, he announced, placing the trophy in her trembling hands. More applause washed over her like a wave. Through the sea of faces, she finally spotted her family in the back row. Her father was standing tall, clapping with unusual energy. Her mother was openly crying, makeup streaking down her cheeks, and her grandmother was beaming with such pride that she seemed to glow. As the curtain closed one final time, Sophia clutched the trophy to her chest, feeling the weight of it, the reality of what had just happened beginning to sink in. Lily bounced over to her, eyes wide. "Sophia, that was amazing. Why didn't you tell me you could sing like that?" Before she could answer, she was surrounded by other students, all talking at once, asking questions, offering congratulations. Faces that had never looked at her twice were suddenly focused entirely on her. And then, cutting through the crowd, came Mackenzie. The other students grew quiet, watching warily. Mackenzie stopped in front of Sophia, her expression unreadable. "I didn't know," she said finally, her voice oddly small. "I didn't know you could actually sing like that." It wasn't quite an apology, but the admission cost her something. Sophia could see that in the way she struggled to maintain eye contact. "Thank you for encouraging me to sign up," Sophia replied quietly. "I might never have done it otherwise." Mackenzie's eyes widened slightly at the unexpected graciousness. She opened her mouth as if to say something else, then closed it, nodded once, and walked away. As the crowd dispersed, Sophia's family surrounded her, her father lifting her up onto his shoulders like he used to when she was much smaller. "That's my girl," he called out uncharacteristically loud. "That's my Sophia." Her mother reached up to squeeze her hand. "We are so proud of you, darling." But it was her grandmother's quiet words that Sophia would remember most clearly from that night. "You see now?" she said, touching the jade butterfly at Sophia's neck. "They could not see your wings until you decided to fly." The Monday after the talent show, Sophia woke up earlier than usual. She lay in bed for a few minutes, staring at the small trophy on her dresser, still not quite believing what had happened. The events of Friday night felt like a dream, the kind you desperately try to hold on to after waking. "Are you awake, Xiaohu Dai?" Her grandmother called softly from the other room. "Yes," Sophia replied, finally sliding out of bed. "Just thinking about your big day at school." Her grandmother appeared in the doorway, already dressed and smiling knowingly. Sophia hadn't thought about what today might be like. How would the other kids react? Would things be different? Or would everything go back to normal, as if the talent show had never happened? "I'm a little nervous," she admitted, pulling on her school uniform. "Of course you are," her grandmother nodded. "Fame is a new outfit you must learn to wear comfortably," Sophia laughed. "I'm not famous, Nai. In your school today you are." Her grandmother adjusted Sophia's collar. "Remember who you were before Friday night. That girl is still inside you, the quiet one who watches and thinks and feels deeply. Don't lose her." With these words echoing in her mind, Sophia made her way to school. She was halfway there when she realized she was still wearing the jade butterfly pendant. She had forgotten to take it off since the performance. Tucking it beneath her shirt, she continued walking, taking comfort in its familiar weight against her skin. The change was immediate and disorienting. As soon as she stepped through the school gates, heads turned. Whispers followed her, but they were different now, excited, admiring, curious. "There she is. That's her, the girl who sang at the talent show. My mom said she got goosebumps watching her." A group of second graders stopped to stare openly as she passed. One small girl with pigtails tugged at Sophia's sleeve. "Are you really the girl who sang the Titanic song?" she asked, eyes wide. "My big sister said you were better than the lady in the movie." Before Sophia could answer, Ms. Reynolds appeared, gently shooing the younger children toward their classroom. "Give Sophia some space, everyone," she said firmly, then turned to Sophia with a warm smile. "Quite a different Monday morning for you, I imagine." Sophia nodded, not knowing what to say. "Well, enjoy it," Ms. Reynolds advised. "You earned every bit of this attention with your courage and hard work." In the classroom, Sophia's desk had 3 handmade cards waiting on it. Her classmates crowded around, asking questions all at once. "How did you learn to sing like that? Were you scared? Will you perform at the district talent show too?" Lily appeared at her side, creating a small buffer between Sophia and the eager crowd. "Guys, give her some room to breathe," she said with unexpected authority. Gradually, the classroom settled into its normal routine, though Sophia caught many of her classmates watching her throughout the morning. At lunch, instead of eating alone with Lily, they were joined by 4 other girls who had never spoken to Sophia before. "We didn't know you were so cool," one of them said matter-of-factly. "You should sit with us every day." The attention was flattering but overwhelming. By recess, Sophia slipped away to her old spot by the fence, needing a moment of quiet. She had just closed her eyes when a shadow fell across her face. "Hey." Sophia looked up to find Mackenzie standing there, shifting uncomfortably from foot to foot. There were no friends flanking her today, no phone in hand ready to record. "Can I sit?" Mackenzie asked, gesturing to the ground beside Sophia. Surprised, Sophia nodded. They sat in awkward silence for a moment. "So," Mackenzie finally said, staring at her shoes, "my mom saw the video of you singing." "Video?" Sophia repeated, confused. "Yeah. Remember how I was recording?" Mackenzie's cheeks flushed slightly. "I dropped my phone, but it kept recording. My friend Anna picked it up and got most of your performance. She posted it online." Sophia's stomach dropped. "Online, where everyone can see it?" "It's got like thousands of views already," Mackenzie said, glancing at Sophia's panicked expression. "Don't worry. Everyone loves it. That's what I was trying to tell you. My mom watched it like 10 times and then she asked me—" Mackenzie paused, clearly uncomfortable. "She asked me why I never mentioned having such a talented friend at school." Sophia didn't know how to respond to this. "I didn't tell her the truth," Mackenzie continued. "I didn't tell her that I was trying to embarrass you, that I thought it would be funny to watch you freeze up or sing badly." Her voice grew smaller. "I'm sorry about that." The apology hung in the air between them. "Why?" Sophia finally asked. "Why did you want to embarrass me?" Mackenzie pulled up grass in small tufts, avoiding Sophia's eyes. "Because you're so smart. All the teachers are always saying how good your grades are, how perfect your homework is, and you never even try to fit in or be cool or anything. It was annoying." "I do try," Sophia said quietly. "It's just hard for me to talk to people. It always has been." Mackenzie looked up, seeming genuinely surprised by this. "Really? I thought you just thought you were better than everyone else." Sophia shook her head emphatically. "No, I'm just scared a lot of the time of saying the wrong thing, of people laughing at me. Well, nobody's laughing now, Mackenzie said, except maybe at me. Anna's older sister said I got totally owned when my plan backfired. Despite everything, Sophia smiled a little at this. I don't want anyone laughing at you either. Mackenzie studied her with newfound curiosity. You're weird, Chen, but like good weird. She stood up, brushing grass from her jeans. Anyway, I just wanted to say sorry. And also, if anyone ever bothers you, you can tell me. I'll make them stop. It wasn't exactly an offer of friendship, but it was something. A truce, perhaps. Sophia nodded her acceptance and Mackenzie walked away, her usual confidence returning to her stride. That afternoon, Mrs. Peterson caught Sophia in the hallway. I have something exciting to tell you, she said, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. The director of the community music program saw your performance, or rather the video that's been making the rounds. He's offered you a scholarship for voice lessons. Sophia blinked, trying to process this information. Real singing lessons? With a teacher? Twice a week after school, Mrs. Peterson confirmed. If your parents agree, of course. I've already spoken with your grandmother on the phone this morning. She was thrilled. That evening, for the first time Sophia could remember, her parents closed the restaurant early. The four of them sat around the kitchen table, watching the video of her performance on her father's old laptop. Sophia couldn't bear to look at herself, but she watched her family's faces instead. Her father's quiet pride, her mother's emotional smile, her grandmother's knowing gaze. So many views, her father said, pointing to the number beneath the video. My daughter famous. The music school is very good, her mother added. Mrs. Peterson says it could lead to opportunities later, maybe even college scholarships. Her grandmother said nothing, but squeezed Sophia's hand beneath the table. Later, after her parents returned to the restaurant to finish the closing tasks, Sophia found her grandmother in the living room, the wooden box of opera mementos open on her lap. Are you sad? Sophia asked, noticing the faraway look in her grandmother's eyes. Thinking about what you lost? Her grandmother smiled gently. No, Xiao Hu Die. I am thinking about what continues. Music never truly leaves us. It just finds new voices. 3 years passed, bringing changes both subtle and dramatic to Sophia's life. The community music program led to regional competitions, which led to performances at local events, which led to a growing reputation as the Singing Sparrow of Westbrook, a nickname coined by the local newspaper after her performance at a charity event. Her voice, strengthened and matured under proper training, but it was her presence that transformed most dramatically. The shy girl remained in some ways. Sophia would always be thoughtful, observant, more comfortable listening than speaking, but she no longer tried to make herself invisible. At school, she moved through the hallways with quiet confidence, not popular in the way Mackenzie was, but respected, known. She and Mackenzie never became close friends, but the bullying stopped completely. Occasionally, they even worked together on school projects, finding an unexpected mutual respect. You're still coming to the state finals, right? Sophia asked Mackenzie one day in the 6th grade hallway. I saved tickets for you and Lily. Duh, we wouldn't miss it, Mackenzie replied, rolling her eyes but smiling. Anna's making posters. The state finals of the junior vocal competition were held in an actual concert hall, far grander than the school auditorium where Sophia had first found her voice. Backstage, surrounded by other talented young singers, she still felt the familiar butterflies, but they no longer paralyzed her. Nervous? Her vocal coach asked, adjusting Sophia's hair before she went on. Excited? Sophia corrected with a small smile, touching the jade pendant that she now wore for every performance. As she walked onto the stage to perform the national anthem, the lights momentarily blinded her. When her vision cleared, she could make out her family in the front row, her parents dressed in their finest clothes, her grandmother looking frailer these days, but her eyes as bright as ever. Behind them sat Ms. Reynolds, Mrs. Peterson, Lily, and her family, and yes, Mackenzie and her friends holding up a glittering sign. The audience quieted, waiting. Sophia took a deep breath and began to sing. Later, after receiving a standing ovation and placing second in the competition, Sophia found her grandmother waiting backstage, leaning on her cane. You have come so far, her grandmother said, embracing her. Do you remember that first night, how frightened you were? I still get scared, Sophia admitted. Every time. Good, her grandmother nodded approvingly. Fear means you still care deeply. The trick is not to let it stop you. As they made their way through the crowded lobby, a small girl approached Sophia, program and pen in hand. "Can I have your autograph?" she asked shyly. "I want to sing just like you when I'm older." Surprised and touched, Sophia signed the program. As she handed it back, she noticed the girl's nervous posture, the way she seemed to want to shrink into herself, a feeling Sophia knew all too well. "What's your name?" she asked gently. "May," the girl whispered. "Do you sing already, May?" The girl nodded. "But only in my room. I'm too scared to sing where people can hear me." Sophia crouched down to meet her at eye level. "Can I tell you a secret?" she said, unclasping the jade butterfly pendant and placing it in the girl's hand. "I was exactly the same way. This helped me find my courage once. Maybe it can help you too. But it's yours." May protested, trying to give it back. "And now it's yours," Sophia said firmly. "My grandmother always said that the most beautiful things in life are meant to be passed on." As they walked to the car, her grandmother raised an eyebrow. "Your good luck charm?"
"She needs it more than I do now," Sophia explained. Her grandmother nodded approvingly.
"The joke gave you wings," she said, referring to Mackenzie's long-ago prank. "But your voice was always meant to fly." Sophia looked back at the concert hall, thinking of all the unlikely turns her life had taken since that day in the school bathroom when Mackenzie had heard her sing. The joke had indeed given her wings, but what mattered most was that she had chosen to use them. "The best part," she told her grandmother as they drove home under a sky full of stars, "is that I'm just getting started."